Welcome back to Marketing Champions on dailyadbrief.com. My name is Howard Walpuff, your host, and we're talking marketing. We're talking marketing with marketers from around the country who are really doing amazing things and helping their clients grow. Today, we're talking with Michelle Tresemer from Foundations First Marketing in Kirkland, Washington. Michelle, welcome to the conversation.
Thanks, Howard. So grateful to be here.
So you've been involved in marketing for not a long time, but a measurable amount of time. So why don't you tell us a little about how you got started and how Foundations First Marketing really got launched?
Sure. If we go way, way back, I got started, when the digital boom happened. So I'm one of those weird digital natives, Gen Xers, who's right on the cusp. So I grew up with tech. So I got to watch as, Dreamweaver, Front Page, all these tools came online to make marketing easier. So I've been doing this, actually doing marketing probably for 20 years. I like to tell people since MySpace kind of started, people paying me to set up their pages, and tech just made sense to me. So I've been doing this professionally full time for about 8 years, but really have had a company for 10. So I just had my 10-year anniversary.
Well, congratulations to you. That's definitely a very big milestone and shows the amount of success you're having too, because a lot of companies don't make it that long. So it's just a broader statement to you. So now, what is your focus now with your clients, and how how has that evolved really during this last period of COVID?
Sure. So don't hate me for this, but I like to tell our clients how to stop spending marketing money. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what we're seeing with the pandemic and COVID. So prior to that, we had a lot of B2B companies, and I've worked with a lot over the years, started as a traditional digital marketing agency, right? And it blew my mind how many companies were willing to pay me really good money to do stuff that they had no reason for doing. So for example, they would say, oh, my website is junk. I need a new website. Our sales are bad because of our website. They never had data to back any of this up. They just woke up one morning and decided, I'm bored with this. I need new stuff. Or my niece just graduated college. She said, we have to be on Facebook and Instagram and now TikTok. But they didn't have a reason for doing it. So I know that sounds a little weird, but that's what I saw. And it was driving me nuts. And it didn't feel good to take any of that money. So over the past, 10 years, really, I've been developing systems and processes to help coach and train these CEOs, these founders, these VPs, how to look at marketing a little differently and to get back to those basics. My company name is Foundations First for a reason. We want to get back to why you're doing these things. And everyone loves analogies. So here's the best analogy I've come up with so far for why we do what we do. Every January comes around and people think, I got to get in shape. So they join the gym. Do they actually go to the gym after a month? No, they don't. They kind of stop. So I'm more like a coach or a trainer, and I will welcome you into the gym, ask what you're trying to accomplish, and show you what machines to use, how often to use them to get where you want to be, right? Most agencies or companies don't do that. They'll say, great, I'm going to sell you a treadmill or I'm going to sell you a membership. They're never going to talk about your goals. They're not going to tell you, hey, don't use that machine, right? You would look ridiculous if you showed up and you did leg day every day. Your legs would be massive and you'd have a really tiny top. So that's kind of the analogy that I use. I like to help companies stop the spending. If running on the treadmill isn't going to work for them, I tell them to get off the treadmill.
And that's a great way to pose it, because a lot of these companies have no idea of way to do things. I'm always amazed at the ones that were sold websites that things fly in from different directions because it looks so cool, and they pay twice as much for the website. And the end user is annoyed having that all fly on their phone because they just want the information. They don't want that. So there are a lot of companies out there that are getting too much and not able to implement it. So with that in mind, obviously trends change and technology changes. How do you see the changes happening over the next couple of years?
Oh, okay. So when the pandemic hit, We watched the companies who already had a really lean marketing program do great. They knew why they were doing everything in their marketing department. There was no, I call it marketing bloat, right? You've got all this stuff and you never shut anything off. But the companies who struggled had to scramble to figure out, can we shut off social media? Can we cut back our ad spend? Can we, maybe not send out that company newsletter every week that no one reads? If they didn't have that data in place, the foundations, how do you make those decisions, right? So moving into, end of 2021, going into Q4, going into Q1 2022, they're starting to evaluate, and the people making these decisions on budgeting, specifically, VPs, the executive leadership team, they're starting to wisen up on, hey, we're throwing away, $2, $3, $5,000 a month on this tool. Let's say social media. I pick on it a lot because it's usually the one mostly ill-used. Can we shut it off? And then they're getting pretty gutsy and saying, you know what? I don't know if it's working, but we're shutting it off anyway. And guess what? The sales are still coming in. So going into this next year, I suspect, they're going to keep educating themselves at that leadership level and shutting down things that aren't working, that are not directed for their target market.
And this is very important. There's a lot of companies that really do spend a lot more on social media than they should. A lot of it really is, you can have a presence there without having to be so intricate, because they probably aren't looking at the data, and not as many people are absorbing it as the amount of effort and cost is going into putting it out there. So the points you're making are extremely important for these companies to really understand. And it's great that you are there supporting them and directing them and refocusing their spending so that they can be really focusing on their revenues and getting themselves in the right direction. So I'm sure they're very appreciative of your talents and abilities, and as are we. So we thank you for sharing that with us, because it's great to have people like you that are working out there and getting these effective for their companies. So really thank you for your time today, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate it.
And Michelle has so much more to share about what she's doing with Foundations First Marketing. So check all this out on dailyadbrief.com. But go out, have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you next time on Marketing Champions.